Yo, good evening and happy St. Patrick's Day to every single Irish person out there from USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, the tri state areas of New Jersey, Connecticut, the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man and homie, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, rhymes with Narrator. Just like the candy, your host with the most, misunderstood, lonely nomad, unstoppable, independent podcaster, creator, YouTuber, and Queens, New York native, who is also a New York Mets fan from the neck of the woods, who's also a New York Giants fan, and of course, New York Mets fan as well, from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And yes, you're now rocking with me by listening, tuning in, streaming, and watching the 119th episode of the Sports Edition show. Excellent, fun, vibrant talks podcast. The platform to talk about news in football news, basketball news, baseball news, including the New York teams like the New York Giants, New York Knicks, a little bit of college basketball, a little bit of mostly the New York Mets. Live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube and the comfort of my room where I do my podcast recordings. And if you missed out on any episodes whatsoever, please feel free to click on the Sports YouTube channel page right here, and leave a like and a comment on the sports topics. Tell me how you feel about the sports topics in each episode. And of course, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating alongside with a positive review. And of course, spread the word. Word of mouth is important. You can share the videos. You can download the videos. You can even listen to the episodes while you are in your cars going to your destinations, whether you are going to college classes, going to work, whether you are going to other destinations. That way you don't have to worry about listening to too much politics. All right. And I know some of you out there are mostly sports fans out there, also Mets fans out there, and this is what we're going to be covering in today's episode. I got some sports topics for you today, and I got it really all lined up though. Now, normally I don't do soccer, but because this is very important to some of the soccer fans out there, FIFA is FIFA. Soccer World Cup. Rockefeller Center is going to be hosting it, and I will let you know when it's going to happen on your local TV channel in a few minutes. All right, we got some recapping to do as far as like the past game and everything else in between, but a little quick reminder before I even go into the quick side bleacher bar segment. The World Baseball Classic between Venezuela and Team USA starts at 8 p.m. on Fox 5. Check your local listings. All right. Check your local listings. And Nolan Lightning McLean is supposed to be starting that game as well. And I did hear that the Dominican Republic got knocked off. So yeah, just a little quick reminder. World Baseball Classic, Venezuela versus Team USA starts at 8 p.m. on Fox 5. All right. I hope y'all were safe earlier during the 250th St. Patrick's Day parade. In case you didn't know, there was a fire by 43rd Street and Madison Avenue due to a HVAC that caught on fire. Luckily, nobody was hurt. So that's pretty much good news right there. Anyway, man, let's cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase with the quick side bleacher bar, man. Let's do this. Hold on. Let's do this. All right. All right. Let's get started here. In a few minutes, I am going to actually let you know about the regular baseball season that's going to be starting. I have the schedule on my tablet. I will talk about that in a few minutes, and alongside with the New York Knicks schedule, and I got you with the rest as well. So, without further ado, let's get into some topics here, man. First and foremost, let's get into Rockefeller Center, right? Here's what's happening here. So, this is according to AM New York. Um, like I said in the beginning of this sports podcast recording, Rockefeller Center is hosting a FIFA World Cup soccer event that's going down. Now, the New York, New Jersey host committee and Telemundo, the exclusive channel for World Cup matches in Spanish in the US, announced on Thursday morning that from the 4th of July to July 19th, Rockefeller Center will become Manhattan's fan village for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup. It is the second fan location in the New York City area that will play matches and showcase the world's biggest tournament, following the June announcement that Liberty State Park will be the official site of the 2026 World Cup Fan Festival across the Hudson River. End quote. This national historic landmark represents exactly the prestige and the tremendous economic impact that the 2026 World Cup will have on our region. Tammy Murphy said, in quote, First Lady of New Jersey and board chair of the host committee said at the announcement, we will give fans the ideal place to celebrate and to celebrate the world's game at the heart of Manhattan. The world famous ice skating rink at the complex will be transformed into a soccer pitch for kickabouts between kickoffs. The pitch will be surrounded by viewing stations, from lawn chairs to table seating and steps, while two massive screens will be propped up above the Prometheus fountain. Stalls and soccer games will be set up around Rockefeller Center, whilst the channel gardens surrounding the plaza will be renamed Champions Garden for the tournament to exhibit previous 8 countries that have won the World Cup, as well as stars from their respective victorious campaigns. The World Cup is a once in a lifetime, once in a generation opportunity. Alex Lasry, CEO of the host committee, said at Rockefeller Center Thursday morning. It gives us an incredible opportunity, but also puts an immense responsibility on us. Lasry compared the viewership amount of the most recent World Cup final between France and Argentina in 2022, with Lionel Messi finally clinching the game's biggest prize, to the same amount of people who watched the last 13 Super Bowls combined. End quote. When you put the two perspective, the eyes, when you put that into perspective, the eyes of the world are going to be on us when we are hosting this fan village. Lasry added, for us to be able to do it right here in this iconic space is one that makes us really proud and really excited. The matches at the fan festival will be broadcast in Spanish, and the network will show all 104 matches live, with Spanish commentary available on Peacock, NBC Universal streaming service. The Fan Village will connect fans from around the world through the universal language of football. Um, that's FUTBOL. Creating a place where we can come together to experience this historic tournament in the heart of New York City. Claudia um, Chag- Chagui, EVP Marketing and Creative at Telemundo, said in a press conference release. Now, I want to remind y'all that the I want to remind y'all that the I want to remind y'all that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will premiere on Thursday, June 11th of this year on Fox 5. Fox 5 is going to hold down the soccer games. All right? So make sure you mark your calendars for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Again, June 11th, Thursday, June 11th on Fox 5. All right. There you go. Now that I got that out the way, let's get into some basketball news here. Let's get into some basketball news. All right, so the New York City area will have a wider range of representation in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, as Long Island University and Hofstra will join number 13 St. John's in competing in the Big Dance. Having two more local schools join March Madness is a step in the right direction to revitalize college basketball in the state since the decline of Syracuse, which appeared in six final fours and won the 2003 national championship. The Orange has fallen out of contention in the ACC. Number 1 Duke and number 10 Virginia outpaced them in conference play this season, relegating them to the lower half of the standings at 15-17. With Syracuse out of the picture, St. John's rose to stardom under Hall of Fame head coach Rick Pitino The Red Storm have won the last two Big East regular season titles as they look to win a second straight tournament title. The Johnnies, the Johnny success, the Johnny success came. Oh shit, that's funny. Yeah, the Johnny success came amid the introduction of NIL in college athletics, leading to multiple transfers bringing their talent to Queens. But outside of the five boroughs, LIU and Hofstra, excuse me, have found success in their respective conferences. LIU, for example, won the Northeast Conference regular season and tournament title to be exact, under head coach and former Knicks guard Rod Strickland. A 5-game win streak helped the Sharks clinch an NCAA tournament berth, which they haven't done since 2017 to 2018. Hofstra burst onto the scene of the Coastal Athletic Conference under the leadership of head coach and former star guard Speedy Claxton. The Pride found enough success in conference play to carry over to the conference tournament. It went on to sweep rivals William and Mary Townsend and Monmouth in 3 competitive games. Wow. From winning the CAA tournament, Hofstra earned a spot in the NCAA tournament next to LIU and likely St. John's. The selection committee has yet to see the Red Storm, but winning the Big East regular season title will more than likely earn them a spot. They are projected to be a 5th or 6th seed in the tournament. Overall, New York will have a fair share of representation in the NCAA tournament thanks to these 3 schools finding success. St. John's has the best shot at going all the way, considering they won 13 straight in conference play, and Hofstra and LIU will likely be seated lower than them. But anything can happen once the tournament gets underway, which starts today, March 17th. Okay. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if there's anything else that I need to talk about. Hang on one second, folks. I gotta look up something. Okay. Get into sports. Let's get into basketball. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Very interesting, actually. So let's get into 3 takeaways from St. John's Big East title clinching win over UConn. Oh, wow. Oh, they did a back to back. I remember now. Yeah, let's do a recap of that. So, for the first time ever, the St. John's Red Storm are back-to-back Big East champions after defeating UConn in a wire-to-wire 72-52 win in the conference title game on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. When these teams last met, the Huskies handed the Johnnies a humbling 32-point loss, snapping the team's 13-game winning streak and leaving them eager for redemption. However, the last time the teams faced off at Madison Square Garden last month. The Johnnies came away with an 81-72 victory. St. John's punched its ticket to the championship game with a win over Seton Hall, excuse me, while the Huskies advanced after taking down a determined Georgetown squad 67-51. For the third straight game, the Johnnies opened on a double-digit scoring run. The surge continued until a foul by Dylan Mitchell 9 points sent UConn's solo ball to the line for an and one, cutting the deficit to 10-3 4 minutes into the contest. St. John's smothering defense forced the Huskies to get creative offensively, even denying freshman Braylon Mullins any clean looks from beyond the arc. The Red Storm stayed red hot. Oziah Sellers poured in 8 points in the opening 5 minutes, while a pair of threes from Zuby Ejiofor, 18 points, and emphatic dunks from Mitchell and Hopkins brought the Madison Square Garden crowd to its feet, drowning out any Huskies chants. Moments later, UConn head coach Dan Hurley was assessed a technical foul after an animated exchange with the officials. Ian Jackson stepped to the line but missed the ensuing free throw. Sainin picked up 2 fouls early in the contest, mirroring his performance in yesterday's game. From there, the Red Storm kept their momentum, never allowing the gap to shrink below 12, despite short UConn resurgences. The team's chemistry shone through with multiple tag team dunks set up for captains Zuby Ejiofor and Mitchell. UConn turnovers fueled the Johnnies for 15 extra first half points, sending them into halftime up 40-27. St. John's came out quiet in the second half as UConn's defense stymied Ejiofor, cutting the lead to 9 before Hopkins' 18 points answered with a layup. The back and forth continued until consecutive buckets, including an Ejiofor 3, ignited the Big East Player of the Year. UConn's Silas Damari Jr. went down after a lethal Ejiofor dunk, sending him to the locker room. Before his exit, the junior had 6 points, and he returned shortly after. The last 5 minutes saw the Johnnies shine, extending their lead to 20 and going on a 10-0 run once Ejiofor re-entered the court. Sellers was assessed a technical after pushing a UConn player with 3 minutes left, and the Johnnies continued to maintain that significant lead. As the clock inches closer to Selection Sunday, both teams are eager to see where they end up in the NCAA tournament. With the win, the Johnnies are expected to be a number 4 seed, and the Huskies' position remains in question. All right. Also, let's take a look at the takeaways. Let's take a look at the takeaways right here. 3 takeaways that we got to get into. So St. John's defeated UConn 72-52 in the Big East Tournament Championship game on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden, securing its first straight conference tournament title in a sold-out arena featuring the conference's top 2 seeds. The Red Storm took control early and maintained the lead throughout the game. The victory capped a dominant tournament run for St. John's, which also claimed the regular season title and now heads into the 2026 NCAA tournament with significant momentum. Bryce Hopkins delivered when the offense needed it. Hopkins was one of the most consistent players on the floor for St. John's. He attacked the rim throughout the game and hit several key outside shots as the Red Storm maintained its lead. Head coach Rick Pitino noted Hopkins and Dylan Mitchell needed to lead the way offensively. And in quote, I told Dylan and Bryce going into this, if you guys don't dominate, we can't win this game. They both played unbelievably, Pitino said. Hopkins' conference at the rim was also something Pitino highlighted when reflecting on the team's offensive flow during the game. One thing I loved tonight was Bryce Hopkins just saying, give me the ball. I'm going to the rim. And then Dylan Mitchell flying down the court. It was just exciting to see the conference of both players. And then Ozaya shooting the ball. That guy doesn't need a boost confidence. He thinks he's the best player in the country, and he shows it every single night. Oh man, hold on, Zuby. Hang on a second. I think they spelled his name wrong. No, it's right. Ejiofor delivered another strong performance in the championship and was named the tournament's most outstanding player, earning the Dave Gavitt Trophy. Across the Big East tournament, he averaged 19.7 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 assists per game. His dominance on both ends made him one of the defining players of the event. Pitino praised Ejiofor's growth since joining the program. Zuby was a guy that came in without a lot of confidence, and now he's one of the greatest leaders in the game that I've ever coached, Pitino said. Ejiofor reflected on the significance of repeating as champions and what it meant to share the moment with teammates and fans at the Garden. End quote. The first one was truly special. It was the first time I had experienced winning at such a high level, he said. The second time around, it wasn't about me. It was more about the new guys who came in. I wanted to win for them. I wanted them to feel the thrill of winning a championship here at MSG. And we accomplished that goal. Just to see the excitement, the smiles on their faces, it meant a lot to me. That's who I do it for. I do it for them. I do it for Johnny's Nation and my family. Defense prevented a UConn comeback. UConn attempted to close the gap early in the second half, but St. John's responded with strong defense and timely scoring. Key plays from Dylan Darling, Dylan Mitchell, and Ozaya Sellers helped push the lead back into double digits midway through the half. The Red Storm continued to defend aggressively and limited UConn's scoring opportunities as the game went on. Pitino said the team's consistency throughout the tournament showed their growth. I told them, you have a chance to be a part of history, Pitino said. It's a championship, another night to get better. And we did. We improved every single game. Remember, we were struggling. Come back against Xavier, come back against Butler, come back against Seton Hall. We were always trailing. We have come out 3 straight nights, and we didn't relent at all. That is a great sign offensively and defensively going into the tournament. Ooh. All right. Yeah. I like this, man. I really like this. So let's see. St. John's receives no favors with number 5 seed at 2026 NCAA tournament. St. John's was arguably the hottest team in the country over the final 2 months of the regular season. It won 19 of its final 20 games, had a key win against the number 3 UConn, then cruised to a second straight Big East tournament championship after clinching the regular season title. Yet the bracket for the 2026 NCAA tournament was revealed, and the number 13 ranked Johnnies was slotted as a number 5 seed, having to fly across the country to San Diego to face number 12 Northern Iowa in the first round on Friday. Don't let the East Regional moniker fool you. Win likely secures them a date with number 4 Kansas, and all the while they are in the same region as the tournament's number 1 overall seed Duke. End quote. I thought half the staff thought we were a 4, and I thought we were a 5, head coach Rick Pitino said. So I'm not surprised at the seeding. The first opponent that will play is very tough. And if you get to the second round, you are going to have a packed house, but it'll be all Kansas fans. They will pack the place and we'll have maybe a few hundred people. That's about it. But that's the breaks in the game. It's not ideal traveling to the West Coast, but you deal with it and you just make the best of it. This will be Pitino's 25th trip to the NCAA tournament and the second straight season he has done so with St. John's. After going 30-4 last season and earning a number 2 seed at the Big Dance, the Queens school was upset in the second round by number 10 Arkansas. This year, the rest of the East Regional offers some tasty potential storylines. The Red Storm's Big East rival, UConn, is at the bottom of the bracket. The two schools have already played each other 3 times this season, with St. John's holding a 2-1 edge, including a 72-52 drubbing in the Big East Championship game on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. Louisville, the Kentucky school in which Pitino coached 2-3 Final Fours and a national championship in 2013, is the number 6 seed in the East. St. John's would have to pull off some significant upsets, getting past Kansas and Duke, but it could potentially meet either of those two teams in the Elite 8. End quote. The pressure that was on us the last month of the season going into Seton Hall, knowing we had to win on the road to share the Big East regular season championship, and then having to play the opening round against Providence, and then play Seton Hall, and then play UConn. The pressure was enormous because of the team we're playing. Pitino said they responded great in all the games, so we're playing good basketball, and that's the only thing that matters right now. All right. All right. I want to make some noise for the St. Johnny's Red Storms team, especially trying to, compete for a championship, and they did it. They got the trophy. So, you know what I'm saying? So I want to make some noise for St. John's Red Storms, aka the Johnnies. All right. Before I get into the NBA, let's get into some football news actually in terms of the off season. Let me see. Let's see. All right. Let me see. So, all right. Yes, NFL free agency is upon us as teams will be permitted to negotiate with free agents from other teams leading up to hopefully deals being agreed to help enhance the very first roster that will be overseen by head coach John Harbaugh. At the same time, there will be players who will um be moving on either because they were cut or they chose to sign elsewhere. It promises to be a crazy time. Free agency always is, and it's going to be fun to see what Harbaugh and General Manager Joe Schoen have in store for this roster. Be sure to bookmark this page and check it frequently as we will update it with player comings and goings and much more. All right, so let me see. So let's see. So the biggest needs. All right, the biggest needs that they need is a linebacker, interior offensive line, cornerback, tight end, and defensive line. Let's see. And the new signings are Isaiah Likely, 3 years, $40 million. That's and Jordan Stout, 3 years, $12.3 million. Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, 3 years, $36 million. Ardarius Washington, 1 year, 1 year deal. Not sure what the amount is, so to be announced. Greg Newsom the second, 1 year, $8 million, $8 million, $3 million guaranteed. Jason Sanders, kicker, 1 year, 1 year deal. Patrick Ricard, 2 years, 7.70 excuse me. $7.63 million with a max of $8.5 million. Calvin Austin the third, 1 year, $1.5 million, 1.5 million with a max of $4.5 million. Jason Pinnock, 1 year deal. Elijah Campbell, 1 year deal. Darnell Mooney, 1 year deal with $10 million. Ooh, shit. I think they got something cooking. The Giants got something cooking though, man. Let's see. All right, let's yeah. All right. The Giants addition of Likely gives them a big bodied receiver and a solid run blocker for for their offense, excuse me. It also reinforced the idea that the Giants are looking to make 12 personnel their base. The addition of Stout at punter is a move we've been calling for since the season ended. Jamie Gillen who is owed $800,000 in guaranteed money on his contract, was much too inconsistent for our taste and apparently for Harbaugh's. The Giants got themselves an upgrade capable of flipping the field. Edmonds was a player linked to the Giants almost as soon as it was announced he could seek a trade. Rather than jumping the gun, the Giants waited and they were able to get their veteran inside linebacker who will replace Bobby Okereke in the starting lineup, all without having to surrender draft picks or a player. Darius Washington, yet another former Ravens player, is coming off a torn Achilles, which caused him to miss most of last season. He brings versatility as a defensive back with an ability to play in the slot, free safety and in the box. He is also a solid special team contributor. The Giants are taking a low risk, high reward gamble on Greg Newsome II, a former first round draft pick by Cleveland who was later traded to the Jaguars. If the deal works out, the Giants may have finally lucked out in their quest to stabilize the cornerback spot. Newsome has plenty of starting experience, but injuries have slowed him down throughout his career. Sanders is an interesting addition. He missed all of last season with a hip injury, so his addition to the roster will depend on whether he passes a physical. If he does, that means he'll compete with Ben Sauls, who last year settled the kicking situation, but who is relatively untested in long distance clutch situations at the NFL. Ricard, who was expected to follow Harbaugh to Baltimore, becomes the league's highest paid fullback, as he will be tasked with lead blocking for a Giants running backs room that currently consists of Tyrone Tracy Jr., Cam Scatterbull, who is injured, and Devin Scatterbull. The Ravens have had one of their league's best power rushing attacks over the last 6 seasons, and Harbaugh is hoping that happens now with the Giants. Austin is a smallish receiver who is probably best suited for the slot, though he has experience on the perimeter. He is probably most remembered for catching the winning touchdown in the Steelers' regular season finale against Baltimore that ended up as John Harbaugh's final game as Ravens head coach. Austin brings punt return experience as well, though he was part of a Steelers punt return until ranked among the bottom of the league. Pinnock was sort of a surprise addition at first, but in retrospect, he does offer some value to the defense. While he's unlikely to reclaim his starting role, which was filled last year in free agency, one of Pinnock's strengths is as a blitzer, which would suggest that the Giants might be looking to do some exotic blitzes from the backfield under new defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. All right, so Campbell was added to compete for special teams depth. Mooney could very well step in as a short-term replacement for Wan'Dale Robinson. The 28-year-old receiver gives Big Blue a veteran deep threat to their offense, who is just a few years removed from a 1,000-yard season. Mooney, who was a cat cut by the Falcons, is known for his speed and ability to stretch the field. Now, let's get to the resignings. The resignings are Gunnar Olszewski, 1-year deal $1.402 million. Chris Manhertz, 1 year deal of $1.487 million. Jermaine Illumunor, 3 years, $39 million. Isaiah Hodgins, 1 year deal. Micah McFadden, 1 year deal with $3.75 million. Caleb Murphy, 1 year deal. Art Green, 1 year deal with $1.075 million. Same goes for Nick Jones, 1 year deal, $1.075 million. Zari Barnes, 1 year deal, $155 million. Evan Neal, 1 year deal for $1.487 million. Aaron Stinney, 1 year financial terms not announced. Ryan Miller, 1 year tender. Olszewski was a solid return specialist for the Giants last year. He also did well when called upon to fill in at slot receiver for Wan'Dale Robinson, and will get the chance to compete for that role this summer. Manhert's contributions as a blocking tight end often went unnoticed, but they were an integral part of the running game and figure to continue to be as such. The signing also likely means the end of hold on, let me spell this out, man. Day excuse me, Dainl. Bellinger's time with the Giants, though, we'll see what his market looks like. Illuminor's return is big in many ways, the most important of which ensures the Giants' starting bookends remain intact. But above all, with Illuminor back, now Marcus Ambo can spend another year in development as the team's swing tackle, and the Giants' offensive line, which finished fourth in PFF pass blocking efficiency rating last year, is all but certain to return for a third year together, pending what happens with Greg Van Roten at right guard. Hodgins gives the Giants depth at outside receiver. He can also play in the slot, so it looks as though he's going to get a chance to complete for that role now that Wan'Dale Robinson has departed for Tennessee. Damn. McFadden's return was widely expected, given that he's coming off a season-ending foot injury. He was in pursuit of his third straight 100-plus tackle season last year, but will not look to reestablish his market value. It's unknown at this point whether he will be a starter or if the Giants intend to rotate him in, especially if the Giants, as anticipated, plan to draft a linebacker next month. Caleb Murphy, Art Green, and Nick Jones give the Giants depth on special teams. Green was the Giants' best punt gunner last year and finished second on the team in special teams tackles, despite missing 5 games. Jones, who was an exclusive rights free agent, also served as a punt gunner last year. Barnes, a restricted free agent, was mainly deployed on special teams. In the biggest surprise to date, the Giants are bringing back offensive lineman Evan Neal on a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Harbaugh liked what he saw of Neil on tape and apparently believes that the fresh start and working with new offensive line coach Mike Bloomgren will be just what the doctor ordered to get Neil's career back on track. At the very least, Neil provides depth at guard, which remains a concern depth-wise. With the Giants needing guards, they brought back Aaron Stinney on a one-year deal. It's looking more obvious that the team plans to add a guard in the draft. Miller, one of the Giants' three ERFAs, was picked up late last year from the Bucks practice squad. Did not appear in any games for the Giants. He'll get a clean slate and a chance to compete for a roster spot this spring and summer. All right, so the departures include Daniel Bellinger, Wande Robinson, Cordell Flott, Austin Slotman, Dane Belton, and Casey Kreiter. Damn. As soon as it came out that the Giants were pursuing former Ravens right and Isaiah Likely, Bellinger's time was up. It's ironic, though, as in signing with the Titans, whose offensive coordinator is former Giants head coach Brian Daboll. Bellinger wasn't used much in the Giants' passing offense. It will be interesting to see if that changes. Robinson's departure to the Titans is no surprise either. The Giants were never serious about keeping him, as Matt Nagy typically has opted for a bigger slot receiver. Further, there was some question as to whether Robinson, who is coming off his first career 1,000-yard receiving season, would be able to sustain that kind of production. Let's see. Flotty becomes the third Giants UFA to follow former head coach Brian Daboll to Tennessee, where Daboll is now the offensive coordinator. There was some talk that he was seeking a deal that would pay, on average, what Paulson Adebo received from the Giants last offseason, and that would be $18 million. Apparently, that was too rich for the Giants' taste buds, and although Flott is going to average $3 million less than Adebo, he apparently heard what he wanted from the Titans. The loss of Slotman, as of right now, is underrated only because he was capable of filling in at center and at guard, and did so at an acceptable level. His departure to the Titans now means the Giants don't have a backup center under contract. Let's see. Belton was the Giants' special teams tackle leader last season and the third safety who could never quite carve out a regular starting role for himself. He'll get a chance to do so with Gang Green. Oh boy. Yeah. Contracts terminated. Jeez, man. Yeah, Bobby Okereke, James Hudson III, Jamie Gillen, and Chris Board. So the Giants currently have saved $18.223 million on their cap with the above contract terminations. Given the depth of this year's linebackers class in the draft, Reki's $9 million cap savings was just too good to resist. He'll catch on somewhere, though, as he still has a lot to offer. Hudson's fate was sealed after an epic meltdown in week 2, which rendered him untrustworthy when rookie Marcus Mbaugh passed the veteran on the depth chart. That sealed his fate. Damn, son. Damn. Gillen's fate was sealed once the Giants reached an agreement with former Ravens punter Jordan Stout. Board was somewhat of a surprise given he was a special teams ace for the Ravens, who was also familiar with John Harbaugh's locker room. Board missed last season with a torn pectoral muscle suffered in week 2. Now fully recovered, he'll go elsewhere. Adjusted contracts for Devin Singletary. Um, a pay cut for $3.95 million savings. And Brian Burns restructure 15.1 million savings. Singletary's agreeing to a pay cut came as a surprise, but a pleasant one at that, as he was the team's best short yardage back last season, and the best of the 3 running backs in the running blocking department. He also has some value as a punt returner. Burns' contract restructure was expected as the Giants' available cap space continued to dwindle. Despite opening $15.1 million in space, don't expect the Giants to continue splurging in free agency, though. They might still add another low-cost veteran or 2. Unrestricted. Here are the list of the Giants' unsigned unrestricted free agents. We venture to guess that more than half will not be back. The only question is, will those who aren't back land with other teams, which would potentially help the Giants with comp picks for 2027. All right, so DJ Davidson, Victor Dimuke J, Joshua Izudu, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, Neville Hewitt, Raheem Nunez, Roches Sr., Greg Van Roten, and Russell Wilson will not be back. Restricted agents, Bryce Ford Wheaton and Tolman Fox. We don't anticipate the Giants will tender any of their restricted free agents, as the lowest tender granting the Giants right of first refusal is $3.52 million. Exclusive right free agents. Let's see. Yeah. Eventually there was going to be some changes anyway. So let's see. There's going to be some changes anyway. Let me see. Let's see. All right, let's get into some more basketball news, man. Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait. All right, so let's see. The Giants' offseason started heating up this week with the release of Bobby Okereke. The veteran linebacker experienced a steady decline in production over the last 2 seasons, so it was only a matter of time before the team moved on from him. The Giants will save $9 million in cap space, giving them extra room to revamp the front 7. Micah McFadden is the only other middle linebacker on the roster, but he is recovering from a foot injury and could find himself off the roster. With the defense short staff, the Giants could find a replacement in free agency or the 2026 NFL draft, as they hold the 5th overall pick. Proven free agents. Quay Walker is one of the new few free agent linebackers who could find himself in New York. The 25-year-old has spent his 4 NFL seasons with the Packers, tallying 469 tackles, 9 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. He would slot into the Giants' defense as their primary run and pass stopping linebacker. If the Giants are looking for more speed on defense, N'Kobe Dean is a viable replacement. The former Georgia Bulldog spent 4 seasons with the Eagles, during which he recorded 226 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. He has the benefit of playoff experience and a Super Bowl title under his belt, something the Giants will be looking for as they revamp their roster under new head coach John Harbaugh. Dean's injury history, which includes a torn patella tendon, presents a potential problem for New York. Talented prospects. If they decide to select a linebacker with that number 5 pick at the draft, Sonny Styles could be a perfect fit. The Ohio State product has experience leading a top-notch defense, recording 132 tackles, 9 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. These numbers helped him earn 2025 first-team All-American and first-team All-Big Ten honors. Kyle Lewis is another option if the Giants decide to hold off on drafting a linebacker in the first round. In 3 seasons at Pittsburgh, he ended with 198 tackles, 10 sacks, and 6 interceptions. All right, now on to some NBA news of the New York Knicks. Hang on. Hang on 1 second. All right. Oh, wait. One more football thing I want to cover, actually. So the Giants are in a training camp. Yeah. So let's get into this. They're in a training camp? Really? Oh boy. When was this posted? I'm not sure exactly, but all right, so local area New York Giants fans who were looking forward to attending the team's first training camp under the new head coach John Harbaugh at the team's East Rutherford, New Jersey headquarters are going to be in for a bit of a letdown. That's because the team will be holding the first 2 weeks of training camp in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, where they will be headquartered at the Greenbrier Resort, nestled in the Allegheny Mountains. The resort has a sports has a sports performance center on its grounds, which is where the Giants will likely set up their locker room, weight room, and training and meeting rooms. The facility features 2 grass fields and a field turf field. Most of the practices will be open to the public. The Giants won't be the first NFL team to set up summer shop at the Green Beer. According to the website, the Texans, Cleveland Browns, New England Patriots, Arizona Cardinals, and San Francisco 49ers have all used the facility at some point or another for their respective training camps. Well, this is the first time in over a decade when they trained at SUNY Albany that the Giants will hold part of training camp away from home. For those wondering whether the Giants will spend future summers on the road for training camp, that does not appear to be the case. The Giants are moving the first 2 weeks of training camp because of the logistics, which will affect MetLife Stadium, one of the hosts of the FIFA World Cup tournament set for this summer. The event is so massive that the construction needed to erect temporary facilities across the parking lot will not only create road closures, but will also limit available parking for fans who would otherwise be looking to attend camp. The construction is expected to be completed with any temporary facilities erected in the parking lots removed by the time the Giants open their 2026 preseason slate. Training camp dates have not yet been announced and will be released later in the spring. It is also unknown whether the team will be able to accommodate fans at their temporary location or when they eventually return to East Rutherford once construction is completed. Whether they will open any practices, um, whether they will open any practices to local fans who are unable to make the trip to White Sulphur Springs. All right, so on to some NBA news. Let's get to some NBA news actually. Let me see. Let me see. NBA news. All right, some NBA news regarding two things actually. Mikal Bridges. Okay, Mikal Bridges. You got Mikal Bridges. He's struggling. Let's see. Considering the fashion of his arrival in a blockbuster trade and the money he's making in a 4-year, $150 million extension that just began this season, Mikal Bridges has become the New York Knicks' most frustrating enigma. When he's aggressive and confident, he's a territory scorer that catapults the Knicks contending hopes to another level. His big night against the San Antonio Spurs on March 1st only strengthened that notion when he dropped 25 points on 10 of 17 shooting, including a 5-for-9 clip from beyond the arc. But then there are the stretches like the one he is currently mirrored in, and the alarm bells are going off everywhere. Bridges has been invisible in each of the Knicks' last 3 games, 1 and 2. He was held scoreless on 6 shots in 27 minutes on Sunday in a 110-97 loss to the Los Angeles Lakers to the Lakers in Los Angeles. In the same building on the very next night against the Clippers, he went 3 for 8 for just 7 points and was benched during crunch time. Yeah, that shit has to fucking suck, man. That shit has to suck, man. You gotta really feel for the New York Knicks, man, and the frustration of one individual. Damn. That's fucking insane, man. All right, let's continue here. Um, yeah. All right. All right, let's continue where I left off here. Um, all right, he could not get it going against the tanking Utah Jazz on Wednesday night either. He hit just 2 of 9 shots again in 27 minutes for 5 points. Bridges told Stefan Bondi of the New York Post that this is not an issue of confidence. I think it's just the game of basketball, Bridges said. Sometimes you try to get open and sometimes it doesn't find me. Just try to find a way to stay aggressive. That's it. But this is not the time to simply try or tinker or experiment. The fact that, the fact is that the Knicks are trying to click into the right gear before what they are hoping is a deep playoff push. And Bridges simply has not been good enough. Since the All Star break 12 games, he is averaging a paltry 10.8 points on 10.6 shot attempts per game. In his last 3 games, he is averaging just 7.7 attempts per game. Compared that to the 12.5 shots he averaged across the first 55 games of the first half of the season. And something is just not clicking. Maybe it does boil down to confidence, and Bridges just isn't willing to shoot because he doesn't have that touch right now. Maybe he is struggling to find his place in Mike Brown's offense. This is a similar issue that Carl Anthony Towns had been dealing with for much of the 2025-26 campaign, but has started coming around because he is simply shooting the ball better. He is averaging 21.1 points on 60% shooting from the field, 44.9% from three over his last 14 games. Brown's offense is more reactive than set. This seems to be the byproduct of that, in which some considerable contributors look like non-factors at times, but the stress of an ineffective Bridges is starting to put a strain on New York's lineup, particularly Jalen Bronson. With Bridges struggling and reserve guard Jose Alvarado experiencing a downturn too. Bronson averaged 38 minutes per night over the Knicks' previous 5 games before getting a bit of relief during Wednesday's 17-point win over Utah. That was the heaviest workload in the NBA during that stretch, and one that the franchise is all too familiar with under the previous regimen of Tom Thibodeau. It was under that burden that the Knicks ultimately ran out of gas in each of their previous 2 playoff runs. A more complete effort from the backcourt will ease that down the stretch. All right, so we got Mike Brown. Let's go to him. So the Knicks fell short in their litmus test against the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder on Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. They also got a front row seat at the preferential treatment that star point guard Shai Gilgeous Alexander gets on a daily basis. With 2 minutes left in with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Gilgeous Alexander drove to the basket and balled into Knicks star Jalen Brunson, whose feet were set in the paint. It was an obvious charge, but the officials kept the whistles in their pockets rather than slap a third personal foul on the um, Oklahoma City, man. That would have relegated um, um, Gil Gilgeous Alexander to the bench for the majority of the rest of the first half, which could have significantly changed things in the Thunder's 103 to 100 victory. Knicks' head coach Mike Brown, incensed by the no call, picked up a technical foul for the first time since taking over the squad this season. SGA had two fouls, and Jalen was there, and he ran him over, just like the call they made on OG Anu Anabul, excuse me, An, Anunobi, Anunobi, a few moments earlier. Brown said, "I don't understand why that was a no call. That should have been his third. The bucket shouldn't have counted, and we should have gone the other way with the basketball. To see that, knowing that Jalen is standing there and he's putting his body on the line, and our guys are fighting their asses off to try to win a ball game. It didn't sit well with me. Gilgeous Alexander had built a reputation for drawing more fouls than almost anyone in the NBA. His 9.2 free throw attempts per game ranked second in the league, only behind Luka Doncic of the Los Angeles Lakers. He does a great job of convincing the referees he's getting hit. Brown quit. Meanwhile, Carl Anthony Towns' strong night was cut short by the officials' whistle in the fourth quarter. He picked up his fifth foul thunder after a thunder review overturned an out of bounds call. And he was then given his marching orders when he fouled Gilgeous Alexander for his sixth. It's frustrating, Towns said. You want to win the game, and this one's tight. You want to win the game and be out there with your teammates. It's unfortunate that it was called. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we got to talk about here. Let's see. All right. Let me see. Let's take a look at hold on a sec. Let me see. Okay, where is it? All right. Okay, a little recap. Of course, Mark Vientos, he did play first base. Not the first time, but second time actually. So the Mets decided to take the cautious route with Jorge Polanco might have opened up more of an opportunity for Mark Vientos. Manager Carlos Mendoza admitted that the designated hitter option is going to be in play big time with Polanco, who is making the move to first base after 12 years in the majors as a middle infielder. While the Mets are being prudent in the bringing the 32-year-old up to speed at the position, they also have to take a few. They also have to take things slow as he continues to strengthen a surgically repaired knee that needed a procedure in October of 2024. Especially with him having a major surgery not too long ago, he'll get DH at bats, Mendoza said. Getting familiar with the first base position, got to get him reps, got to get him comfortable, but we're not going to run him to we're not going to run to run him into the ground. Vientos, who entered the winter precariously perched on the coast on the trade market, now has a chance to assert more of a utility role alongside Brett Beatty, who is being tabbed as the next Jeff McNeil in terms of his defensive versatility. The Mets want Beatty to play first, second, third, and the corner outfield. Vientos, who also played third and failed to run away with the DH job last season after prolonged struggles, is getting reps at first throughout spring, including a start in Sunday's spring training matinee against the Yankees. It felt good to get my feet wet for the first game wherever they want me to play, wherever I get the opportunity, whether it's third, first, DH, wherever it is, I'm fine with it. Vientos told reporters after his start, I just want to help the team win and do my best job for it. This is likely a make or break year for Vientos in terms of his future in Queens. After a 2024 season in which he broke out to the tune of 27 home runs in 111 games, then was superb in New York's run to the NLCS. He batted 233 with a 702 OPS, 17 home runs, and 61 RBIs in 121 games. His still being a part of the equation at least suggests that the Mets still have some semblance of faith in the 26-year-old. We got options. I think it depends on matchups and where we're at in the schedule. Mendoza said about how he deployed first base reps throughout the season. We feel really good with the guys. If it's not Polanco, with Mark and Beatty getting some opportunities here. Let's see. Let me see. Let's see. Let me see. All right, let me see. Let me see. So let's get into New York Mets prospects will have a baseball game breakout season. Let's take a look at that. Okay, who will have a breakout season? That's a good question. Let's see. All right. Obviously, you have obviously one of the more popular new additions to the spring training routine is MLB spring breakout games, which showcase the top young prospects in the sport. The New York Mets announced their player pool for this year's spring breakout contest, which will take place on Thursday, March 19th in Port St. Lucie against the Tampa Bay Rays prospects. Spring breakout is almost here. While the Mets' top three prospects, Nolan Lightning McLean, Carson Bench, and Jonah Tong, will not be participating. The group has a lot of intriguing names for fans to keep an eye on. The top prospect who will be playing is outfielder AJ Ewing, who has become a player to watch in the near future as a potential long-term answer in center field. Let's see. Other hitting prospects set to play in the spring breakout game are third baseman Jacob Reimer, first baseman Ryan Clifford, infielder Mitch Voigt, and shortstop Alien Pena. All of them, in addition to Ewing, ranked between 4th and 9th in MLB.com's ranking of the top team's top 30 prospects. So the next wave of Mets pitching prospects will also get a spring breakout opportunity. The pitching side of the Mets spring breakout squad isn't as star-studded as the position players, but there are plenty of intriguing names to keep an eye on. The highest rated pitcher participating is right-handed pitcher Jack Wenninger, who is rated seventh on the Mets' top 30, while left-handed pitcher Jonathan Santucci rounds out the top 10. The most interesting pitcher of the group is right-handed pitcher Ryan Lambert, who has drawn a ton of headlines in spring training for his electric fastball and potential to contribute to the Mets bullpen this season. Lambert, currently 18th in the Mets top 30, figures to get a look during the spring breakout matchup to test himself against a good Rays lineup. Other pitchers inside the Mets top 30 who are slated to participate include right-handed pitcher Will Watson, 11th, right-handed pitcher Dylan Ross, 19th, right-handed pitcher RJ Gordon, 20th, right-handed pitcher Jonathan Pintaro, 22nd, right-handed pitcher Peter Cusso, 23rd, right-handed pitcher Camden Lowman, 27th, right-handed pitcher Nathan Hall, 28th, right-handed pitcher Cam Tilley, 29th, and right-handed pitcher Brandon Gerton, 30th. In total, 25 of the Mets' top 30 prospects are in the official 40-man player pool, which will be narrowed down to an active roster of 23 to 27 players by March 18th, which is tomorrow. Even though everyone on the roster isn't guaranteed to participate in the spring breakout game, it does offer a tremendous opportunity for the Mets to showcase the newfound depth of their farm system in a competitive environment. So there you go right there. Let me see. Let's see. All right. Let's get into this actually. So Tobias Myers will be on the New York Mets opening day roster, regardless of how the starting rotation shapes up, manager Carlos Mendoza said on Wednesday. Acquired from the Milwaukee Brewers in the Freddy Peralta deal, the 27-year-old right-hander will be stretched out as a starter throughout spring training. If the rotation is full, he will be used as a multi-inning guy out of the bullpen. You are going to need guys like him, Mendoza said. Like we said at the beginning of camp, we're going to build him up as a starter, and hopefully everybody's healthy. Long ways to go. Then we'll have to make some adjustments. If we decide to put him in the bullpen, he's definitely going to be a guy who will be a multiple innings guy. If he's healthy, he's on the team. Myers made 22 appearances last season in Milwaukee, including 6 starts. He was 1-2 with a 3.55 ERA and 38 strikeouts in 50.2 innings pitched. Garcia to be a big part of the bullpen. Don't let Luis Garcia's journeyman status fool you. Mendoza fully intends to utilize him for significant innings in 2026. He's going to be a big part of that bullpen, the skipper said. This is a guy who's been in the league for quite a bit now, bouncing around some teams, but his stuff is there. High 90s ground balls, especially against righties, but he's going to be a big part of it. The 39-year-old has played for 4 different teams in just the last 2 seasons alone, including stops with the Dodgers, Nationals, and Angels last year. In 55 innings, he posted a 3.42 ERA, but allowed just 6 runs across the 28 innings with the Nationals and Angels. Kimbrough will get a chance in what might be one of the final stops of the Hall of Famer career. 37-year-old Craig Kimbrough is looking to latch on to the Mets bullpen after signing a minor league deal on January 29th. Last season suggests there is plenty left in the tank. He posted a 2.45 ERA in 13 appearances with the Houston Astros while continuing to evolve his arsenal. The right-hander who has made a name off a deadly fastball curveball pairing is working on instituting a cutter and a changeup at Mets spring training. The sweeper is good. The curveball, we all know that, and he has the cutter now that he's playing around with. Mendoza said he threw a little bit of that changeup last year, but his bread and butter is the breaking ball, and hopefully that cutter plays, and especially to lefties. So he's going to get a chance here. Now, New York's closer situation is anything but certain. They signed Devin Williams as insurance should Edwin Diaz walk, which he already did, to the Dodgers, which the star closer did. That makes the former Brewer and Yankee the top choice for the ninth inning, despite having the worst year of his career in his lone campaign in the Bronx. Luke Weaver, who also has closing experience with the Yankees, but lost his touch late in games last year, is also in the mix. Should neither assert themselves, though Kimbrough could find his way there. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Kodai Senga. Let's talk about him, man. All right, so we're drawing closer to the first Grapefruit League games of the year. Here are the latest notes from the Mets in Port St. Lucie. Kodai Senga in 2023, Kodai Senga threw his fastball 97 miles per hour or faster roughly 38% of the time. In 2025, he only threw it that fast 10% of the time. Carlos Mendoza said Senga was throwing up to 97 miles per hour in his bullpen session today. It is still early, and it is easier to throw hard in a bullpen session where you don't need to focus on live batters or pitch counts, but this is still a good sign for a starter who discussed wanting to return to be a power pitcher. Luis Robert Jr. is looking to build on the small sample of success he had in the second half of 2025 after he adjusted his leg kick, slashing 298, 352, 456, and 808 across 125 plate appearances. During batting practice, he hit multiple balls over 105 miles per hour, including a 115 miles per hour line drive and a 470-foot home run. His hardest hit ball in 2025 was 115.8 miles per hour. Mendoza described it as special how the ball comes off his bat. Robert Jr. also almost took Chaminade deep on a hard hit ball to left field. Jonah Tong spent the offseason working on a slider and a cutter and got to show them off in camp. He utilized the slider to strike out Bo Bichette, get Jorge Polanco out swinging at his fastball, and struck out Juan Soto, Francisco Alvarez, and Luis Robert Jr. with his changeup. He also used an ABS challenge on a ball thrown to Juan Soto, but was unsuccessful. Bo Bichette worked with Marcus Semien on barehanded defensive drills this morning. He also worked at third base with Brett Beatty, while Mark Vientos and Jorge Polanco alternated at first base. And Marcus Semien and Ronnie Mauricio alternated at second base. Bichette also faced off against Sean Menard and Jonah Tong in live batting practice. I'll get to Francisco Lindor in a sec. Bryce Conley, per Will Salmon of The Athletic, the Mets have signed right-handed pitcher Bryce Conley to a minor league deal. Conley is a career minor league pitcher who struggled in 2025, pitching to a 5.01 ERA and 1.29 whip between AA and AAA. But he did run above average strikeout and walk rates while limiting contact in the zone. He throws 6 pitches from his low arm slot, including a high spin curveball, tight slider, and 92.6 miles per hour fastball. He will likely be minor league depth. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Francisco Lindor. Yeah, he did return actually, so let's get to him. All right, so according to Heavy, the New York Mets are putting the finishing touches on their preparations for the upcoming 2026 campaign. While the team still needs to welcome some players back from the World Baseball Classic, all eyes have been on one guy who was unable to participate in the tournament due to injury, Francisco Lindor. Back in February, Lindor suffered a fractured left hamate bone that threw his status for the start of the 2026 season up in the air. I broke down what a hamate bone is as far as the symptoms and the treatments and all that other stuff. You can check that out on episode 116. Despite that, Lindor has been aggressively attacking his injury rehab, and he has publicly said he expects to be ready to go for the start of the year. On Sunday afternoon, it looks like Lindor will be taking a big step towards convincing the Mets he's healthy enough to play on opening day. Ever since finding out his way to the majors in 2015 with the Cleveland Indians, now switched to the Guardians, Lindor has been one of the most consistent players in the league. That has continued during his 5-season stint with the Mets, as Lindor has played in at least 150 games in 4 of his first 5 years with the team. Furthermore, when he's been on the field, he has remained an all-star caliber player. Lindor earned his first all-star selection during his time with New York in 2025, as he hit 267 with 31 home runs, 86 RBIs, and 31 stolen bases. With guys like Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo no longer in town, Lindor is going to have to shoulder a bigger workload at the plate this year for the Mets. In order to do that, he has to be on the field, though. The fractured hamate bone Lindor suffers seemed to throw a wrench in his plans to be ready for the start of the season. But in typical fashion, he has breezed through his recovery process to this point. And now he's going to be playing his first spring training game, as he's in the Mets lineup for their upcoming game against the Toronto Blue Jays, which already happened. Francisco Lindor in today's lineup for the Mets. Mike Puma of the New York Post shared a post on X. The last major step Lindor has to take in his rehab process is playing in a game. So the fact that he's getting into the action before spring training wraps up is huge, assuming he suffers no setbacks between now and the start of the season. Lindor should be in the Mets opening day lineup on March 26th. It's important not to put too much stock in spring training, but you bet fans will be keeping close tabs on Lindor over the next week or so to see how he fares in his first live game action of the year. He may be a little rusty at first, but once he gets his legs back underneath, it will be fair to expect Lindor to return to his usual high level of play for New York. And he did that when he talked to Keith and Steve Gelbs during that particular game, that he wanted to work on his defense. He wanted to work on his defense and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And he actually played live action baseball against AJ Minter or some other pitcher. Actually hit a home run off of him, which is very interesting though. So yeah, he did hit a single actually. So we're gonna actually get into the recap of what went down with the New York Knicks actually. So let's see. Let's see. New York Knicks. So let me see. Let me see. Hmm. All right, let's get into let me see. Let me just do a little recap of from Sunday's game. Let me just see what's going on here. Okay. Let me see. Let me see. Wait a minute here. Um just a sec. Okay, New York Mets defeat the Toronto Blue Jays 8-1. Let's see. Okay, all right, let's see. Okay. All right. The hell? Wait. All right. All right. Let me see this. Okay. Okay, so the New York Mets beat the Toronto Blue Jays 8-1 Sunday afternoon at Clover Park in a rain-shortened Grapefruit League game. The final score was secondary. Francisco Lindor played shortstop for the first time in spring training after undergoing hand surgery at the start of the camp, and he came out of it healthy, 1 for 3 with a run scored. Yeah, he did hit a single. He hit a single. Yes, he did that. Lindor struck out swinging in the first, then singled to right in the third, and scored on a Marcus Semien sacrifice fly to make it 8-1. He reached again in the third on a fielder's choice when Toronto first baseman Charles McAdoo booted the ball. he oh shit. He was replaced at shortstop by Ronnie Mauricio to open the fifth. Um, 3 plate appearances, no issues. Zach Thornton keeps his spring rolling. Zach Thornton started and worked 3.2 innings, allowing 1 run on 4 hits with 1 strikeout and no walks. Toronto's only run came in the first on a Davis Schneider sacrifice fly, scoring George Springer, who had singled and moved up on a balk. After that, Thornton kept the Blue Jays off the board through the fifth. His spring ERA sits at 1.35. The Mets did damage early in the bunches. Toronto starter Grant Rogers gave up 6 runs and in the second before getting pulled, and the inning was a sequence of small mistakes compounding fast. Luis Robert Jr. singled, moved to second on a balk, and scored on a Francisco Alvarez sacrifice fly. Mike Topman singled home Brett Beatty. Simeon's sac fly brought in Topman. Then Bo Bichette doubled down the right field line to score Tyrone Taylor and move Lindor to third. And Jorge Polanco singled to right to score Lindor 6 runs, 1 inning, and 2 pitches. Alvarez doubled to lead off the third and scored on a Topman single to right, pushing it to 7-1. Simeon's second sacrifice fly of the game made it 8. Topman finished 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Alvarez went 1 for 2 with a double, a sac fly, and 2 RBIs. Luke Weaver threw a clean inning in the fifth. Brooks Raley and Dan Hammer each recorded 1 out. The game was called after 5.1 innings. Lindor's next appearance and workload ramp up are the things to track from here as the Mets move toward the regular season opener. Yeah, it was a rain delay, and then they called it off because the Mets already scored 8 runs. So they won that one, man. So that's a big win for the Mets. That's a big win. Let me see. Let me see. What's this about Jonah Tong? Let me see. What's this about Jonah Tong? Hold on a second. Yeah, Jonah Tong. Jonah Tong was not expected to factor into the New York Mets starting rotation if fully healthy, at least to start 2026. But it was made official on Tuesday when he was optioned to AAA, the team announced. The 22-year-old made 1 Grapefruit League appearance this spring, allowing 3 earned runs in 2.2 innings of work, though the outing was used to experiment with a new cutter that he is trying to introduce into his arsenal this year. The Mets were, the Mets are already entering the new season with a six-man rotation. The newly acquired Freddy Peralta heads a unit that will also feature Nolan Lightning McLean, Clay Holmes, who just returned from the WBC, David Peterson, Sean Mania, and Kodai Senga. Manager Carlos Mendoza has already made it clear throughout this spring that he is not considering a five-man rotation. It became it became abundantly clear last season that Tong needed more seasoning in the minor leagues before breaking into the bigs full time. In an act of desperation, as the rest of New York's rotation imploded, the righty was called up to the majors just after just two starts in AAA. In 5 innings, he posted a 7.71 ERA, but also flashed some high level stuff. Um, should things go to plan, the Mets will not need Tong this season, meaning he will have a full season in Syracuse to work on his arsenal and the mental side of the game, and will likely be ready to make the jump next year. Baseball is a complicated game, Tong said last month. It's my favorite, obviously, but it can be a roller coaster. I think the main thing that I want to take into it from what I learned last year is just how to stay neutral in all of it, because at the end of the day, you are gonna have days where you are going to absolutely carve, and on other days you are going to get your teeth kicked in. Being able to stay the same person, though, hold on, being able to stay the same person through it all is probably the most important thing. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Now, let's see. All right, so rookie of the rookie of the New York Mets breakout season 2026. Let's see. All right, so there's a reason. There's a reason why Nolan Lightning McLean should be rookie pitcher of the year, plus the WBC. So let's talk about him. Okay, there's three reasons Nolan Lightning McLean should be rookie pitcher of the year. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, though. Let's talk about it. Come on. Let's talk about it. And this is according to the folks from Clutch Points. Um Nolan Lightning McLean may not enter 2026 as the betting favorite for NL Rookie of the Year, but he stands as one of the most realistic challengers to Connor Griffin and JJ Weatherholt. The Mets right-hander already owns proven MLB success, while Griffin and Weatherholt are preparing for their first full exposure to big league competition. That difference matters. It shapes perception, role, and opportunity. Griffin brings elite athleticism and top prospect buzz. Weatherholt offers polish and offensive consistency. McLean, however, offers something voters consistently value: dominance and volume at the major league level. If he builds on his 2025 debut, he could quickly move from contender to favorite. Here are three reasons he has a legitimate path to the award. Reason number one: proven MLB success, given Proven MLB success gives McLean a head start. McLean debuted for the Mets in 2025 and immediately stabilized a fading club. He made 8 starts, posting a 5-1 record with a 2.06 ERA across 48 innings. He struck out 30, excuse me, he struck out 57 pitches. He struck out 57 hitters and walked just 16. His 1.04 whip and strong strikeout rate supported the performance, suggesting it was sustainable rather than fluky. He remained under rookie limits, keeping him eligible for the 2026 NL Rookie of the Year race. Voters have already seen him succeed against major league hitters. He even received down ballot Rookie of the Year votes despite limited innings, an early sign of respect. In his third career start, McLean threw 8 shutout innings against the eventual NL East champion Philadelphia Phillies, allowing 4 hits, issuing no walks, and striking out 6. Philadelphia not only captured the division, but also finished with 96 wins, the second most in the National League behind the Milwaukee Brewers, underscoring the caliber of lineup lineup he silenced. He looked composed and in control, not overwhelmed by the moment. That type of performance leaves a lasting impression. Griffin and Weather Holt still must navigate the league's adjustment period. McLean has already shown he can handle it. Number 2, ace level metrics create a higher ceiling. The 24-year-old's profile resembles that of a frontline starter. He pairs a mid 90s sinker with heavy movement and a sharp breaking ball that tunnels effectively off the fastball. McLean misses bats, limits hard contact, and keeps hitters from elevating the ball, traits that support long-term success. His strikeout rate projects among the best for rookie pitchers. He ground ball his ground ball tendencies suppress home runs. Advanced metrics backed his 2.06 ERA rather than contradicting it. In award races driven by both production and impact, that combination is powerful. Griffin, a shortstop, tore through 3 minor league levels in 2025, hitting 33, hold on, 333 with 21 homers and 65 stolen bases. The tools are undeniable. However, translating that production to the majors at age 19 presents risk. Big league pitches adjust quickly. Weather Hope reached AAA and showcased polish at the plate. He projects as a high on base hitter with gap power and steady overall value. That consistency strengthens a lineup, but it may not produce the eye-catching numbers that dominate award conversations. If the Mets rookie delivers 150 innings um with a sub what is it 3.00 ERA and around 170 strikeouts, he will generate headline statistics. Griffin and Weatherholt must spread their value across multiple categories. McLean can dominate the most visible ones. And reason number 3, rotation stability and opportunity. Opportunity often determines awards. McLean enters 2026 positioned firmly in the Mets rotation, with projections placing him as a number 2 or strong number 3 starter. He is expected to take the ball every 5th day in meaningful games. A full season could mean 28 to 30 starts. Volume builds counting stats, and counting stats influence voters. If he maintains his strikeout pace over an expanded workload, his candidacy will strengthen each month. Griffin's timeline could be more fluid. Pittsburgh may manage his service time or ease him through slumps. Even elite prospects endure adjustment periods that can suppress early season production. Weatherholt projects as a starting second baseman, but rookies often rotate through rest days while refining their defense. His contributions may show up in steady on base percentage and reliable play rather than explosive numbers. McLean's job description is straightforward: take the mound, limit runs, and pile up strikeouts. That clarity benefits a rookie of the year case built on measurable impact. The narrative component also works in his favor. The Mets expect to contend. If the young righty can help anchor an expected playoff push in Queens, his performances will draw national attention. High leverage starts in a major market, carry weight with voters. Griffin and Weatherholt may enter 2026 with more hype and may be the exciting new names on the block to win the award. But McLean combines proven major league success, high end stuff, and a stable role. That foundation gives him a realistic and compelling path to capturing the 2026 NL Rookie of the Year title. So there you go, right there. There you go. Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait a second. Wait just a second. In other Nolan McLean news, let's see. Nolan McLean is ready to introduce himself to the world. The 24-year-old righty will start Team USA's fourth game of the World Baseball Classic against Italy. Yeah, against Italy on Tuesday night, and has a chance to firmly establish himself as one of the best starting pitchers the U.S. has to offer. It's a massive opportunity for the Mets prospect after making his MLB debut in 2025. Okay. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. All right, hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. All right. Let me see. The end of the seasons. Yeah, wait. Yeah. Let me see. McLean joined the Mets rotation on August 16th last season and made his first start against the Mariners at Citi Field. He went 5 and 1/3 innings, allowing no runs on 2 hits and 4 walks while striking out 8. It was just the start of a really nice 6-week stretch for the rookie to end the season. Nolan McLean's MLB stats. McLean made 8 starts in 2025 and was fantastic. He went 5 and 1 with a 2.06 ERA, a 1.04 WHIP. and 57 strikeouts against 16 walks and 48. Yeah, wait. 48. All right, 48 innings. In fact, his ERA was 1.27 after his first 7 starts, but he allowed 5 earned runs in 5 and 1/3 innings in his final start against the Cubs and saw it jumped to 2.06. In that game, he surrendered 3 home runs after only giving up one in his first 7 appearances. During that 8-game stretch, McLean averaged 10.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. While giving up 3.0 walks per 9, his FIP was a solid 2.97, and he compiled 1.2 FWAR, extrapolated over a 32 start season. His FWAR of 4.8 would have ranked 8th among all qualified MLB pitchers, tied with Max Fried. That's obviously speculative given the sample size, but it gives you an idea of how good he was in a short stretch. He is poised for a big breakout season in 2026. Nolan McLean's career track. McLean was a potential early round pick in the 2020 MLB draft as a two-way North Carolina prep player, but wanted to play quarterback in college. MLB Pipeline had him ranked as the 66th overall player in that draft class, excuse me. He opted to sign with Oklahoma State, but soon dumped the gridiron to focus on baseball. He was a two-way player for the Cowboys, and as a sophomore reliever in 2022, he went 2-1 with a 4.97 ERA, a WHIP of 1.30 WHIP, and 39 strikeouts in 25 and 1/3 innings. He shined with the bat, though slashing 285, 397, 595 with 19 home runs and 47 RBIs. The Orioles selected him in the 3rd round, planning to turn him into a pitcher while allowing him to DH. A post-draft MRI raised concerns about his health, and Baltimore pulled its offer, forcing McLean to return to Stillwater for his junior season. His junior season, huh? Oh boy. His junior season. Hang on. Yeah. As a junior, McLean showed more promise on the mound. He went 1-2 in 14 appearances with a 3.30 ERA and 34 strikeouts in 30 innings. He allowed 30 hits and 17 walks on the year, ballooning his whip to 1.57, but the quality of his stuff jumped. He took a step back at the plate, slashing 250, 379, 532 with 9 home runs and 29 RBIs. The Mets selected him in the 3rd round on number 91 of the 2023 MLB draft and made him a full-time pitcher. The move has paid off. During his first full season of Pro Ball in 2024, McLean rose all the way to Double-A. For the season, he went 4-10 with a 3.78 ERA, a 1.26 WHIP, and 116 strikeouts against 42 walks in 109 and 2/3 innings. He opened the 2025 campaign at Double-A and dominated over 5 starts with a 3-1 record, a 1.37 ERA, and a 1.22 WHIP with 30 strikeouts in 26 1/3 innings. He was promptly promoted to AAA Syracuse. McLean made 16 appearances, 13 starts at AAA, and showed he was ready for the big leagues. Over the course of 87 1/3 innings, he struck out 97 batters while walking 38, but only allowed 58 hits. His 2.78 ERA and 1.10 WHIP were all the Mets needed to see, and they called him up to the big leagues. Knowing McLean's arsenal, McLean has good size at 6'2" and 214 pounds. He uses that size to back a classic power pitching arsenal. His go-to pitch is a mid-90s fastball that has jumped up a tick to 98 this spring. While he throws it as a four-seamer, he's far more reliant on a sinker that averaged 94.8 miles per hour in the majors last season. Interesting. Let's see. McLean backs that sinker with a sweeper that averages 85.3 miles per hour and 2,229 RPMs of spin. The sweeper can get flat, and opposite hitters drilled it in the big leagues, producing an XBA of 380 and an XWOBA of 447 in 2025. He also features a devastating curveball that sat at 80 miles per hour and generated an incredible 3.248 RPMs of spin. Opposing batters produce an XBA of .076 and a XWOBA of 101 against McLean's curve. Those are elite numbers. He'll occasionally mix in a changeup and a cutter to alter his look, but the sinker, sweeper, and curve are his best pitches. McLean has only been playing baseball full-time for a handful of years and only pitching full-time for 3 seasons. He is going to get better as he hones his craft. Okay. As he owns his craft, let's see. He'll have a chance to introduce himself to the world as a member of Team USA against Italy, which they lost to recently. Yeah, they lost to that right there. Let's see. Hold on, let me see something here. All right, let me see. Let me make sure I don't forget anything. Yeah, he plays behind Jorge Polanco. Yeah. 4 minutes plays approaching game action. All right, so why? Okay, let me get this damn shit out the way. So all right, let's see. Let's take a look at this. So yeah, I think I talked about this like maybe 2 or 3 times already, but all right, so no matter how how much anyone tries to diminish it, the word lockout is going to hang over the 2026 Major League Baseball season like a plump slider about to be deposited into the far reaches of your favorite neighborhood ballpark. Yeah, I already talked about this. Yeah. Um Tony Clark, executive director of the MLB Players Association, has sounded like a broken record this year each time he's addressed the media. Let's not try to fix what isn't broken. During spring training, at the All-Star game, the World Series, and this past week at the players meeting in Scottsdale, Arizona, with selected members of the press. An unedited audio file of that conversation was provided to Forbes by the union. As the organization, you get ready for the next negotiations as soon as the ink is dried on the previous one, Clark said. I can't speak for the other side, but our interests are getting into the room and hammering out a fair and equitable deal. That's our commitment. The other stuff is just noise. The current basic agreement is set to expire on December 1st, 2026. Negotiations typically begin during spring training and will be the last for Commissioner Rob Manfred, who says he will retire when his current contract expires on January 25th, 2029. The union is anticipating tough sessions and is preparing for at least an all-season lockout, a redux of what happened before the current contract was signed during the spring of 2022. While that season was delayed, games were not missed. There have been no negotiations thus far, either front or back channel, Clark said. The lines of communication are open, and anytime those happen, our players know about it. Earlier this year, Manfred rattled the sword about another lockout. Although lately he's been silent on the issue, refusing to address it during the World Series, Clark spoke out during last spring training, saying, "Unless I am mistaken, the league has said there's going to be a work stoppage. So I don't think I'm speaking out of school in that regard." He didn't mention that he didn't mention the possible lockout in his 35 talk last week. "We will never go into negotiations trying to miss games," Clark said. I can't speak for that. I can't speak for the other side, but in our history, we've missed games. We go in trying to move the industry forward, but we're going to be prepared for what the other side is telling us they are doing. The owners have talked about a salary cap and floor as exists in all the other organized pro sports to allegedly promote competitive balance, but the union is dead set against that. They will point out there are penalties in the current contract involving the luxury tax threshold, many of them not enforced. Lesser earning teams are supposed to invest their revenue sharing dollars with some exclusions into player payrolls. Some do, and others use it to offset losses. Clark said this has been a hot topic of discussion with the players. Every team has the wherewithal to compete, he said, knowing there are some teams that can compete but have chosen not to. How does that affect the industry? He asked. The owners need to introduce some sort of creative concept proving the cap floor system is better for the financial health of all the players rather than a chosen few. They have to resolve their own differences on how to excuse me, evenly share local television and streaming dollars before negotiations with the union even begin. Since it takes a 75% vote of the 30 owners to approve anything, an even split of regional TV dollars seems unrealistic. The big market teams have have their own networks or large contracts are enough in number to block it. The New York Yankees, New York Mets, Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Baltimore Orioles, Washington Nationals, San Francisco Giants, and even the Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas A's had that list. If the owners go into the negotiations attempting again to jam a cap floor down the union's throat, there will certainly be a lockout and perhaps a long one that could this time extend into 2027. That could cost both sides games for the first time since the last player strike at the end of 1994. Season canceled 948 games. The playoffs and World Series. At this point, excuse me, at that point, the owners will lose revenue and the players will not be paid. They are paid from the first game of the regular season to the last, and no time outside of that period. It will be a matter of which side blinks first. Historically, it's the owners. We don't go into the conversation looking to damage the game, Clark said, particularly in a world where the game is moving in a very good direction. We should be celebrating our guys and the game and what we're seeing. Our guys are doing that night in and night out. MLB is making plenty of money. The league set a record this past season by generating team sponsorship revenue of $2.05 billion. The two-time defending World Series winning Dodgers drew more than 4 million at 50,000 seat Dodger Stadium for the first time and broke the $1 billion mark in local revenue. They are exhibit number one. How long does anyone think Mark Walter and Guggenheim Baseball are going to want to give up any part of that? Include them in the Forbes list of top 10 valued MLB teams that all should be against an in-season lockout. Again, it takes only 25% of the owners to balk at anything. Will these teams vote in their best interest or the interest of the other owners? From the union's point of view, with investment of licensing dollars that have been retained over the past 5 years rather than dispersed to the players, the MLBPA is in the strongest financial position it's ever been for players to withstand a lockout that cancels games. The dollar amounts are higher than they've ever been, and the organization has been preparing to put the players into a position of flexibility to do whatever they want, Clark said. So the clock is ticking and the lockout is pending. The noise is suggesting that the sky is falling, Clark concluded. We'll see once we start formal bargaining, but our players are ready for whatever that's going to look like. I want to give a shout out to the guys who actually talked about this in their episode of the Queen's Baseball Live podcast, actually. And I feel like it doesn't make any damn fucking sense, man, to have the players suffer and not get paid. Like, it doesn't make any damn sense. And we all know that the snake, Ron Medford wants this lockout. And this dude has fucking 3 years left of his contract to 2029. 3 years. He has 3 years left. So that's fucking insane, man. Nobody wants a lockout, man. And all I'm saying is this, man. Whoever thought of this lockout bullshit needs to get their shit together and get out of their asses, because no player is going to go for this lockout bullshit and not get paid. Like, this is some bullshit political shit, man. This is just fucking ridiculous, man. But anyway, I'm not gonna stay on this shit for too long anyway. Let's see. Ha. Yeah, yeah. Jonah Tong was minor league pitcher of the year, actually. So congratulations to him. That's a little side note here. Um, let's see. Mets spring break roster pool. 4 Mets players approaching. Yeah, let's get to all right, Carlos Beltran, right? Let's get to Carlos Beltran. I did see this actually. I did see this shit though. Um let's see. Um According to the folks from ESPN, the center field roster of the Baseball Hall of Fame grew deeper Tuesday with the announcement that Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones were selected for induction. Beltran was elected in his 4th year of eligibility after being named on 84.2% of the Baseball Writers Association of America ballots, easily clearing the 75% threshold for enshrinement. Jones was named on 78.4% of the ballots, just clearing the bar to earn election in his 9th and second to last year of eligibility. Beltran and Jones joined Jeff Kent, who was elected in December in the contemporary era um, committee voting in the class of 2026. Beltran, a 9-time All-Star and a 3-time Gold Glove winner, a hit. He hit 279 during his 20-year career with 2,725 hits, 435 homers, 1,582 runs, and 312 stolen bases. He is one of 4 players to reach 2,700 hits, 400 homers, 1,500 runs, and 300 steals, joining Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, and Alex Rodriguez, aka Rod. All right. Beltran is the 5th player born in Puerto Rico to be declared to the Hall, not including Edgar Martinez, who was born in New York but grew up and attended high school on the island. Today, my life really has changed. Just being able to be named a Hall of Famer and what it really means to me, to Puerto Rico, to our family, to our project in Puerto Rico promoting baseball, said Beltran, who now runs a baseball academy there. Beltran, the 1999 AL Rookie of the Year with Kansas City, probably would have been elected during his first year or 2 of eligibility if not for his association with the Houston Astros sign stealing scandal dating to their 2017 World Series winning club. His election surely bodes well for other members of that squad who will eventually arrive on the ballot, such as Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, and George Springer. I still receive love from the players, the teammates that I had inside the clubhouse, Beltran said. They know the type of person that I am. But at the same time, I understand that that's also a story that I have to deal with. Best remembered for the legendary defensive prowess he displayed during the first decade of his career, Jones is one of only 6 outfielders to win 10 or more Gold Gloves. He hit 254 with 434 homers during his 17 seasons in the majors. He burst onto the scene in 1996 when at age 19 he homered twice in game 1 of the World Series for the Atlanta Braves against New York at Yankee Stadium. Jones will become the first player born in Curacao to be inducted into the Hall. To the Hall. I mean, we grew up playing baseball so much down there. That's all we knew since we grew up. We wanted to play baseball, Jones said. To be the first player to make it from Coruscant, it's a great honor, and I know we're going to have more people coming. Jones' candidacy built slowly during his years of eligibility, growing from 7.3% in his first season to eventual enshrinement, the lowest starting mark for an eventual enshrinee. Huh. Yeah, enshrinee. Let's see. Likely holding back Jones' candidacy in the early years of the process was the decline he displayed after his age 30 season and domestic violence charges against him in 2012, a couple of months after he played in his last big league game. He pleaded guilty to the charges and was fined and went on to play 2 seasons in Japan. This is going to be a great moment to actually be on the stage with those guys you idolize, those guys that you grew up watching, guys that you compete with, Jones said. Then enjoying that moment when you get that chance to be on the elite level. This year will mark the first time that two career center fielders will be inducted on the same day. Jones shared that Beltran called him after they received their respective calls Tuesday to celebrate. The biggest gainers over last year's balloting were a pair of pitchers. Felix Hernandez was named on 46.1% of the ballots in his second year of eligibility, a 25.5% leap over last year. Meanwhile, Yankees and Astros great Andy Pettitte, a 256 game winner whose candidacy has dragged because of admissions that he used AGH, was named on 48.5% of ballots, a 20.6% uptick from the last voting cycle. Pettit has 2 more years of eligibility remaining in a double B W double A balloting. The leading first-time eligible player was Phillies left-hander Cole Hamels, who was named on 23.8% of the ballots. Meanwhile, Brewers third baseman outfielder Ryan Braun, the 2011 NL MVP, who was later suspended for PED use, was named on only 3.5% of ballots, shy of the 5% minimum needed to carry over the next year. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony would take place. Wait a minute. Would take place July 26th on the grounds of the Clark Sports Center in Cooperstown, New York. Oof. July 26th. I don't know if that's official, man, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if that's official, but I'm not sure that's official, to be honest with you. And of course, the 2026 season is turning into an unforgettable one for Carlos Beltran after being elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in January. Beltran's number 15 will be retired by the New York Mets at some point during the regular season, as first reported by Mike Puma of the New York Post on Thursday. The star center fielder, who spent parts of 7 seasons in Queens from 2005 to 2011, was initially only supposed to be elected into the Hall of Fame alongside Bobby Valentine and Lee Mazzilli on May 30th. He will get his own day, becoming the 9th former player to have his number retired by the franchise and joining the likes of Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, Jerry Koosman, Keith Hernandez, Willie Mays, Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, and David Wright. Former managers Casey Stengel and Gil Hodges also have their numbers retired. It is the highest reward a team can bestow upon a former player, and Beltran certainly warrants it after choosing to don a Mets cap on his Hall of Fame plaque, which will officially be unveiled when he is enshrined in Cooperstown this July. He joins Seaver and Piazza as the only other players in the hall who are wearing a Mets cap. A nine-time All-Star and three-time Gold Glover winner, Beltran amassed 435 home runs, 312 stolen bases, and 2,725 hits in 2,586 games over his 20-year career. It makes him one of just four players in MLB history with at least 1,500 runs scored, 2,700 hits, 400 home runs, and 300 steals, joining Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, and Alex Rodriguez. He spent 839 games with the Mets, slashing 280, 369, 500, 869 OPS with 149 home runs and 559 RBIs. He finished fourth in the National League MVP voting in 2006 when he became the third Met in franchise history to eclipse the 40 home run mark, 41, to go with 116 RBIs. Beltran ranks third in franchise history with a 31.1 WAR, sixth in on-base percentage and slugging percentage, fourth in OPS, and seventh in home runs and RBIs. All right. I know some people out there are basically, basically conflicted between the scandal between the sign stealing scandal in Houston in Houston when he was with the Astros, um and all that other stuff. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just, although I know everybody's saying that he's a cheater and all that other stuff, but it's like he's already paid the price already, man. And it's not even about getting a second chance. This is basically more like you're trying to actually go through the redemption process. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. There's no release date on there's no release date. So I don't know exactly, because I don't think that's accurate per se, but we'll see what happens though, but I don't know. Because I know everybody's gonna be bringing up the strikeout that he endured when when the Mets played against the Cardinals. He had to endure that for a very long time, actually. I mean, we're all human, man. We're all gonna make mistakes, man. No athlete is going to be. There's no such thing as a perfect athlete. All right. So yeah. So yeah, congratulations to Carlos Beltran, man. Despite the mistake of the science stealing scandal, despite all that, man. You know, all right, so let's see what else. Oh, the Freddy Peralta thing. Yeah, the Freddy Peralta thing. Let's get into that. The Freddy Peralta thing, right? Yeah, the Freddy Peralta thing. Let's get to that. Let me see. 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 Hmm. Let me see. I'm not seeing maybe the Freddy Peralta thing. Where is it? Where is it? All right. Wait a sec. Let me see. Let me see. So, yeah, here we go. Okay. Of course, the New York Mets hope that a recent contract extension involving a star pitcher at a rival club could help them out. Um, Jesus or Jesus Luzardo, however you pronounce his first name, and the Philadelphia Phillies agreed officially agreed to a new deal on March 10th. The starting pitcher will now earn $135 million over 5 years to stay with his current team. Although the deal does not involve the Mets at all, it can affect New York in two different ways. At the moment, Mets management is negotiating a contract extension with Freddy Peralta. The ace was acquired by the club during the offseason in a blockbuster trade with the Milwaukee Brewers. Peralta will make just $8 million in 2026 and is then set to become a free agent. The star recently admitted that he would like to remain with his new team beyond the upcoming season. Nevertheless, he also claimed that he wants a 7 or 8 year contract. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, this could become a problematic for the Mets. It was revealed in December that New York prefers not to hand out long-term contracts to starting pitchers. The stance seemingly hindered their chances of acquiring a marquee starter in free agency. The Athletics' Tim Britton is claiming that the Luzardo extension could be a decent comp for Peralta. As Britton points out, the two-star pitchers are fairly similar. While Peralta posted a lower ERA than Luzardo in 2025, the Phillies starter had a better F-WAR. Milwaukee's stellar defense certainly helped Peralta out during the most recent campaign. According to the reporter, WAR tends to affect how pitchers get paid more than ERA. New York New York Mets have more pressure to resign Freddy Peralta. The financial aspects of the Luzardo extension could help the Mets in their negotiations with Peralta. Nevertheless, the agreement will put more pressure on New York to strike a deal. With Luzardo now off the board, Peralta will likely be the number two starting pitcher in free agency next year. Detroit Tigers superstar Tariq Skubal, who is the undisputed top starter in the class, which he is the same age as Freddy Peralta. They're both 30. Assuming Peralta sticks to his guns, he will likely get a huge offer in free agency. In fact, this could be the only way he receives a 7 or 8 year contract. Max Fried previously earned an 8 year, $218 million contract with the New York Yankees in the winter of 2024. The ace was similarly aged as Peralta at the time. Shit. Starting pitchers do not typically receive such deals in extensions. It is actually incredibly rare. In recent memory, only Steven Strasburg and Jose Barrios agreed to 7 year extensions to remain with their clubs. Neither deal worked out particularly well for the teams. Mets GM David Stearns is likely well aware of these situations too. Mets may have to offer high AAV to retain Ace. Ultimately, New York will be hoping that Peralta caves on his demands. It seems fairly unlikely that Stearns would be willing to offer the Ace an 8-year extension. Peralta could very well bet on himself and see how he performs at the start of the 2026 season before making a decision. He is off to a solid start in spring training by striking out 7 batters in 6 innings. Um, One way that the two sides may potentially meet in the middle is if the Mets offer Peralta fewer years, but a higher AAV. Stearns was able to sign star infielder Bo Bichette with a similar tactic. The former Blue Jay shocked many by agreeing to join New York in a 3-year, $126 million deal in January. Yeah. All right. So here's my thing. Here's my thing before I move on to the next topic, actually. I feel like you shouldn't have to rush to extend Freddy Peralta because you would have because from what I read, actually, if they extend now, it it could cause a little bit of problems, actually, financially, as far as like the luxury tax. Um, I think I think it's best I think it's best to hold off on the extension towards not only free agency but to the next off season, because it'd be a lot easier to do. It'd be a lot easier to do, actually, instead of rushing to extend him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there you go. There you go right there. And I want to get to the all right, 4 players approaching action. 4 players. Let me see. Where did I? Oh shit. Okay. 4 players. Where is this? Okay. I think I actually. Mhm. Wait a minute. All right. All right. Hold on a second here. Um. Wait. Um. Hmm. That's not it. Just a sec. Um. Open the roster projections. Um. Roster projections. Roster projections. What is this? Um. Okay. I think I know what I want to talk about here, actually. Um. If I'm not mistaken here, Opening day roster projections. Hold on. No, that's something else. Okay. I know what I'm going to talk about here. All right. So let's get into the promotional stuff. Let's get into the promotional stuff here, man. I want to actually get into this. All right. So earlier today, the Mets announced their 2026 promotional schedule for all home games through June. The Mets will celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 1986 team all season long with some unique giveaways. If you'd like to rock a replica ring from the 86 squad, you have to be the one of the first 15,000 fans in the ballpark on Saturday, March 28th. If clothing is more your style, the team will distribute a 1986 World Champions retro T-shirt on Tuesday, May 26th, and a 1986 retro jersey on Saturday, July 12th. It's worth noting that the jersey will be given out in a game against the Red Sox, whom the Mets famously defeated to earn their second and most recent championship. The Mets will also give out 4 bobbleheads to celebrate iconic moments from the 1986 team. But these games require a special ticket in order to procure the promo. These are a Gary Carter bobblehead, Thursday, April 9th, a Jesse Orozco bobblehead, Friday, April 24th, a Milky Wilson bobblehead, Tuesday, May 12th, and a Ray Knight bobblehead, Sunday, August 2nd. Beyond celebrating the 1986 team, the club also has a number of cool bobbleheads that could be yours if you don't value your time enough and can wait in line 2 hours before gates to guarantee the promo. Let's see. Side note, an opinion of this writer, but all promotions at sporting events should be available to all fans. You purchase a ticket, you get the promo and rant. The Mets have 2 unique Juan Soto bobbleheads, one highlighting his 40-30 season on Saturday, April 11th, and one baseball card bobblehead on Thursday, June 25th. The Mets will have a Mr. Met Unisphere light up bobblehead on Saturday, April 25th, and a Hello Kitty bobblehead on June 13th that is sure to be very in demand. Those promos go to the first 18,000 fans through the gate. The Mets didn't forget all you kids out there because they lined up some child-friendly promos. The first 5,000 kids 12 and under at the Sunday, March 29th game on opening weekend will get a 5-borough race kids puzzle, which seems to suggest the popular race is returning in 2026. There is also a Crayola color your own Mrs. Met bobblehead on Sunday, June 14th, which also goes to the first 5,000 kids at the game. All fans in attendance to opening day will get a magnetic schedule. Beyond that, probably the most unique and creative giveaway is the Bobby Valentine disguise promo, which goes to the first 15,000 fans at the Friday, May 29th game against the Marlins. There's also a soccer jersey Thursday, June 11th, a Mets purse Monday, June 22nd, and a Mets chain necklace Tuesday, June 23rd, a Marcus Simeon a Marcus Simeon replica jersey Wednesday, June 24th, and a Pride Night sleeveless jersey Friday, June 26th. So these are the dates. Mark your calendars. All right. Mark your calendars and stuff. As far as the regular schedule, the regular schedule. I actually made a post about it in the community tab of the sports YouTube channel page. If you go to the sports YouTube channel page, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, and the community tab, you're gonna see a post where I actually um start off by saying about the about the regular schedule that's going down. All right. And it starts with March 26th. So it starts from March 26th through September. All right. And I'm not going to be able to touch on it here because I actually had to make a post before I got on the air. So I made the post already. So y'all should see it. Y'all should see it though. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, there you go, right there. Four Mets players approaching game action. Let's see. All right. All right. Okay. Oh shit. Okay, I know what to do. All right. Um hold on 1 second. Okay, four Mets players. Four Mets players. Hang on 1 second. Four Mets players approaching game action. Okay. Four Mets players approaching game action. All right. Projecting opening day roster. Oh, all right. Wait a minute. Let me see. Let me see this. So let's see. So let's do this. All right, projecting your Mets opening day roster as season years. Okay, so let's see. So you have, yeah. All right, so Mets starting pitchers is six actually. So there's Freddy Peralta, Nolan Lightning McLean, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, Kodai Senga, and Sean Manaea. Let's see. Long shot candidates, Justin Hengeman. You have relievers, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Brooks Rarely, Tobias Myers, Luis Garcia, Brian Hudson, and Huascar Brazaban. Let's see. Long shot conversations, Carl Edwards Jr., Craig Kimbrough, Austin Warren, Joe Jocks, Adbert, Al Zolay, Ryan Lambert. Okay. So Mets infielders. So you got Jorge Polanco, Marcus Semien, Francisco Lindor, Bo Bichette, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, and Vidal Brujan. Okay, so you have long shot candidates: Jerry Young, Jackson Clough, Christian Arroyo, who hit that home run. Let's see. So yeah, there you go. Outfielders includes Juan Soto, Luis Robert Jr., Tyrone Taylor, and Carson Bench. He should be up there. Mike Topman might be on there as well. Christian Pache. I don't know about him, but he did good with the Mets games as well. A home run and a double. So there you go, right there. And of course, Mets catchers, obviously Francisco Alvarez and Luis Torrens. So there you go, right there. Um, actually, it's more than four. If I'm not mistaken, it's more than four people. I'm gonna have to make that. I'm gonna have to make that correction. All right. All right. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. Actually, I'm gonna go into a rundown of the next schedule. Actually, so I want to go into the rundown starting with tomorrow, New York Knicks versus Memphis Grizzlies, Wednesday at 8 p.m. on MSG. New York Knicks versus Brooklyn Nets, Friday the 20th, 7:30 p.m. on MSG. Washington Wizards versus New York Knicks, March 22nd at 7:30 p.m. on MSG, and New Orleans Pelicans versus New York Knicks, Tuesday, March 24th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MSG. New York Knicks versus Charlotte Hornets, Thursday, March 26th at 7 p.m. And of course, New York Knicks versus Oklahoma City Thunder, Sunday, March 29th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. Um, Also on NBC, New York Knicks versus Houston Rockets, Tuesday, March 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. Now we go to the New York Mets. Um, the New York Mets spring training schedule. Okay, so what we got left here is let me see. So Thursday, spring breakout games. Houston Astros versus the New York Mets at 6:15 on SNY. Um, Friday, March 20th, St. Louis Cardinals versus New York Mets at 1:10 p.m. on SNY, and of course, New York Mets versus Houston Astros at 1:10 p.m. Eastern on Pix 11. And then you have Sunday, March 23rd, the New York Mets versus the Miami Marlins at 1:10 p.m. Eastern on Pix 11. And March 24th, the New York Yankees versus the New York Mets at 1:10 p.m. on SNY. All right. I'm going to all right. We're gonna do something like this though, man. And yeah, I think I covered everything, man. I think I covered everything. Mid spring break roster pool. Roster pool? Oh wait, roster pool. Oh shit. Spring break roster pool. Oh shit. Okay. Wait, roster pool. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, roster pool. Okay. Okay, let me see. New York Mets roster pool 2026. 2026. Here we go. All right, the roster pool. All right, let's get to it. I want to actually wrap this up real soon. Real soon, I'll wrap this up. Okay, the roster pool. Let's see the roster pool. Let's see the roster pool. Actually, so this is interesting. Actually, I don't think I covered this. Did I? Oh, roster pool. Okay, let's see. Roster pool. Lord. The roster pool. Not sure exactly. Okay, Jose Ramos. Yeah. Oof. Let me see. Oh man. Oscar Vazabon. Okay, cool. So yeah. Okay, so the roster pool goes like this, actually. Let me just get that. Come on. Oh boy. So the roster pool. Okay, so I'm just gonna go by the names. I'm not gonna have time to go through all this stuff. So let's get to all right. So the roster pool goes like this, actually. So let's see. So you have, let me see. Let me see. The roster pool. Okay, so you got Josh Blum, Jordan Gerber, Benjamin Simon, and Robert Stock, Carlos Guzman, Daviel Hurtado, Jandrick Cornelia. Let me see. You got Joe Jocks. You got Jose Ramos. You got Jose Ramos. Let's see what else. Jared Young, Daniel Duarte, Carlos. No, excuse me, Alex Carrillo. You have Mark Vientos, Nolan Lightning McLean, and you have Huasca Brazabon, Clay Holmes, who just returned from Team USA WBC, and of course Juan Soto as well, and Dominican Republic got knocked out. All right, so yeah, there you go, right there. There you go, right there. I'm going to let me see if I can find this shit. Okay. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up right here, man. Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up in a bow, man. All right. Let's get into this right here. Um, let's get into this. Hold on. All right, stream choices on the go. Let's get to it right here. Let's do it. All right, folks. Listen, make sure you follow the sports platform show right here. Excellent, fun, vibrant talks podcast. The sports edition show on Facebook alongside with Blue Sky Social, Threads, and Instagram. And the same goes for my other podcast shows that I'm doing right now, which is my entertainment review show, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, and alongside with my other one, my comedy Off the Meat Rat Chains New York Avenue podcast. That's also on the same the same social media platforms. And you can also follow your host with the most, G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. And also when you go to the link in bio of the sports podcast page on Instagram, you're going to see a link that says Linktree/excellent fun vibrant talks pod. You're going to click on there. You're going to see a list of audio and visual podcast feed links. And I'm going to go over this with you folks at home, starting with Audible, Odyssey, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and positive review on Apple Podcasts. And of course, it really helps me out as a host of multiple podcast shows, including this one. And of course, Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Overhaul FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Pandora, Podo Polo, Podorama Podcast, Index Podcast, Addict, Pod Chaser, Podverse, Podcast Guru, Podcatcher, Podcast Republic, Snip, Spotify. Make sure you add the podcast to your Spotify playlist. And you can also listen on Spotify for creators, TuneIn Radio, Fountain, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, the number one app where you can listen to your favorite rappers, singers, and R&B, pop stars, and other music genres. You can also listen to your favorite AM and FM stations, and of course, hip hop artists are included. You can also listen to the podcast episodes for free. You don't need a credit card or debit card to download iHeartRadio. All you need to do is be able to download on your iPhones, Android tablets, your Android phones, iPads, Android tablets, alongside with laptops, which includes Apple and Dell laptop models. All right. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Podcast, the sports YouTube channel page. Leave a like and a comment on the sports topics. And of course, and I'll leave y'all off with this though. Which deal do you think is best for Freddy Peralta? Should he sign an extension early, or should he wait until free agency and the off season? Which one would you rather? That's the question I'm going to actually put up on the community test. So I will be doing that after I get off the air. Anyway, so yes, leave a like and a comment along with the sports topics. And of course, spread the word to your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, people you are cool with from work, and some friends that are into sports, who are New York Mets fans and other sports whatsoever. And And before I forget, share the Linktree link with everyone that you know. And you can also download the episodes. You can also listen to the episodes while you are in your cars going to your destinations. And you can also enable alerts by pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new podcast episode live stream recordings. And you can also you can also be you can also be able to you know spread the words. Word of mouth is important. Word of mouth is important. And of course, new episodes will be dropping on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right. And by the way, there's going to be a little bit of a switch in the podcast recording schedule due to Mets games that I have to watch. So I have some stuff to talk about for each episode right here on this sports podcast platform right here. And yeah, so there you go right there. That's going to do it for me. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Rhymes went now or later, just like the candy. And I'd like to say thank you to every single one of you who took the time to listen. You could have listened to any other sports podcast in the whole world, but you chose to listen to the excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast sports edition platform. And remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. It's not going to be given to you on a fucking silver platter. And of course, if you plan to start a podcast, you might want to make sure you be yourself behind the microphone. Be on your P's and Q's on a consistency basis when it comes to creating new episodes alongside with your topics. And yes, find your niche, be on your P's and Q's, be yourself creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. And like I said, man, I did make a posting on the community tab in regards to the regular baseball season schedule of games on each TV broadcasting station. Check it out. And I will see y'all next time on the flip side. And I hope y'all enjoy episode 119 titled Rookie of the New York Mets breakout season of 2026. So yeah, I will see y'all next time. Stay tuned for more new episodes. Stay tuned for more new topics in the next episode. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Don't forget that the next telecast of the Mets games is going to be Thursday when the Mets take on the Tampa Bay Rays. And of course, Friday is a 1 p.m. Game. Thursday and Friday is going to be on SNY, and Saturday is going to be on Pix 11 as well. So yeah. All right, I'm out of here. Peace and one love. I'll see y'all next time. I hope y'all enjoyed your St. Patty's Day parade, and y'all be safe. We are 3 days away from the official day of spring, and we are 9 days away from the official start of the regular baseball season of March 26th. That's a Thursday. So mark your calendars. All right. If you plan on going to the game, make sure you get your tickets early in advance. Peace and one love. I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe. Stay safe. Peace and one love. Let's go, Mets. In the words of Ken Stars, have a good night, everybody.